sailing is just a sport also siya, pero iba ang feeling. Like, kung baga, makapagaan bitaw siya, makaparelax. Like, mabilin bitaw ang imong problema nga naa sa land. Kay kung tuwa manggod ka dito sa sail, you only focus ko sa boat, the wind, then sa current sa water.
On weather-perfect weekends, you can find Renz Ramasasa sailing across the open sea on a dinghy. The thousands of islands in the Philippines and the proximity of the sea have dictated the lives of millions of Filipinos. Growing up near the coast, Renz always had an affinity with water. He used to live in the province of Leyte near the shore. His stepfather was a fisherman. Among others, Renz's family of 10 relied on fishing to make ends meet until Super Typhoon Haiyan came. Renz and his siblings were able to evacuate while their mother was too weak to go because she had just given birth to their new brother.
Nagsige og ingon ni uncle nga, "Kol sila mama didto kol anako, sila mama unsay ko nato." Nga na si uncle nga, "Dili na nako makayag adto dito kay lagi kusog na din katong storm surge nga mga kuan jud ako na kusog kay sog." Amo dito sa babaw nakita na mo among sitio. Wala nay balay na bilin. Tapos mga puno, like maihap na lang ang nagtindog, ang uban putol na. Pagkagabi dito na ako nakita na akong stepfather, naghilak na siya. Dito na siya ningon nga, wala na si mama daw.
The super typhoon was so strong it destroyed entire towns and claimed lives by the thousands. Renz had to start anew. Spurred by his dream of becoming a seafarer, he decided to go to the city of Butuan, Agusan del Norte, a city with deep maritime roots. This is where some of the oldest boats in the Philippines have been found.
Then katong nga time napay doubt mo apply ba ko ani or dili. Seafaring of course, di ba? Expensive kay dako kayo siya nga. Sa una, gusto na ako mag-seafarer ana, pero sa ako nga side, purag dili na ako na makaya, so ako sang gisita side na lang kay syempre stepfather na ako seaman, ang gipuy-an dito mandaragat gyud. So sir, mo kumaadapt gud nimo. Kato nga time nag-campaign anak ko. I-try na ako ni basing day mauna ni.
The course did not just teach him how to sail, it taught him what it meant to be a Filipino sailor with a vibrant heritage going back to pre-colonial times. After all, he was in Butuan, the place where the Balangay, a large traditional boat that early Filipinos used to navigate the seas, had been dug up. The Balangay is so important to Butuan's history that every year a festival is held to celebrate the preservation of these ancient boats.
We call it ancient Butuan boat. The Balangay symbolizes our unit government. We are made up of archipelago and people travel by boat. These boats cannot just be small boats, but they are also large enough to accommodate families. So this has become a symbol of a unit family in our country. We have historical accounts of the King of Butuan sending the first mission to China, to the emperor. Imagine a king of Butuan going to China to negotiate for better trade relations.
In 1976, during the excavation of drainage canals for the Butuan River, countless artefacts and key Balangay specimens were also unearthed.
When the Spanish arrived in the Philippines in the 1500s, they wrote about how Filipino seafarers were far superior in the sea in terms of skills, in terms of navigation, and even their vessels. There was a quote from the accounts of Pigafetta wherein they wrote about boats that would sail like flying birds, wherein he would compare the galleons of the Spanish to boats made of lead, because the Filipino vessels, some as large or even larger than the Spanish boats, were very swift in the water, were very fast, were far superior in performance to the Spanish.
An Italian scholar and explorer, Antonio Pigafetta, joined the expedition led by the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan under the reign of King Charles I of Spain. In 2018, the Balangay was featured in a biennial China sea race. 3 replicas of the ancient boats sailed from Manila Bay to Tianzhou in China's Fujian province to commemorate the voyage of the Filipinos to the Ming Emperor 600 years ago. Patrick Ruiz, Renz's sailing coach in school, was part of the China-bound crew.
The goal of the Balangay Voyage was to retrace the ancient maritime routes of our ancestors, because based on the history records, the Balangays were used to cross from Sulu or from the Philippines to China to trade. And by doing that, we made the exact replica of the Balangay boat, and we sailed it also just to try or to really test the boat if it's really seaworthy. And the experience was really quite unique. It's like going back in the past.
Reviving the lost sailing culture involves more than just staging large maritime events. It also includes teaching ancient boat building and sailing techniques to the younger generation, such as Renz.
We started this endeavor more than a year ago when we were thinking of ways how to preserve the ancient maritime culture of the Balangay and of the Philippines that has been largely forgotten. It's underappreciated and relatively unknown to most Filipinos nowadays. That they can be proud of that this is our heritage, this is our culture.
Basically, we trained the cadets to be familiar with sailing and the principles of sailing. And then we do classroom instructions and we spend more time in the water. Since this is the first program and the school adopted to have sailing as their subject, the cadets or the students are really enthusiastic about it because it's more related to their course compared to other sports.
In the country, over 100 maritime schools are in the business of training and producing seafarers.
Philippines is one of the largest providers of maritime professionals in the world. Through our activities with sailing, we want to improve the quality of our maritime professionals. Because through sailing, it will enhance their seafaring capabilities. It will enhance their feel of the water, how to read the waves, the winds, the tides. It will make them attune to the natural forces around them, which they can still apply, whether it's using a small dinghy or a big commercial vessel.
For Renz and his fellow cadets, this access to sailing is a unique opportunity, as the sport is usually seen as a domain for wealthier Filipinos.
Ang nalin about sailing is that how we're going to sail or to navigate the sailboats, like how our ancestors do sailing before, like how they control the ship used by the wind and the ocean. Like kung baga as a Filipino, nasa dugo na ba nato as a sailor.
Just like how their ancestors left the safety of the shores to sail into the unknown, the program is empowering students like Renz to dream beyond their personal horizons.
Nang man akong 10 years pagtrabaho din, another business na pod ko, like or mag-instructor ba ko or kaning sailing, kasi sailing murag nakuha akong attention sa sailing mong good, like anyo as a sailor, mas nindot ni siya nga murag kumbaga ipa-remind bitaw sa mga bata pa nga ing-ani ni sa una nato mga ancestors, like murag ipa-adapt sa ila ba nga ato ni we are born like this, ato ning dugo.